industries of Cuba. I invite you to address the Assembly.
Mr. President, distinguished delegate, the Cuban delegation to this assembly is pleased to begin by warmly welcoming the incorporation of 3 new nations to the significant number that discuss world problems here. We therefore greet the President and Prime Ministers, the peoples of Zambia, Malawi, and Malta, and hope these countries join from the start the group of non-aligned nations fighting against imperialism, colonialism, and neocolonialism. We also extend our greetings to the ruling classes of Latin American countries against our revolution. In others, sadly, it's the result of the blinding allure of wealth. As everyone knows, after the tremendous commotion called the Caribbean crisis, the United States entered into certain commitments with the Soviet Union, resulting in the withdrawal of certain types of weapons, which the continuous aggressions from that country, such as the mercenary attack at Playa Girón and the threats to invade our homeland, forced us to place in Cuba as an act of legitimate and unyielding defense. Did the Americans also think that the United Nations should inspect our territory, to which we emphatically refused, since Cuba does not recognize the right of the United States or anyone in the world to determine what type of weapons it can have within its borders? In this regard, we would only comply with multilateral agreements with equal obligations for all parties. As Fidel Castro said, as long as the concept of sovereignty exists as a prerogative of nations and independent peoples, and as a right of all peoples, we will not accept the exclusion of our people from that right. As long as the world is governed by these principles, as long as the world is governed by these concepts that have universal validity, because they are universally accepted and embraced by the peoples, we will not agree to be deprived of any of those rights. We will not give up any of those rights. The Secretary General of the United Nations, Bhutan, understood our reasons. However, the United States sought to establish a new arbitrary and illegal prerogative, violating the airspace of any small country. Thus, U-2 planes and other types of spy aircraft have been flying over our homeland with impunity, navigating our airspace. We have issued all necessary warnings to stop the air violations, as well as the provocations by Yankee Marines against our guard posts in the Guantanamo area, and low-flying plane maneuvers over our ships or those of other nations in international waters.
Pirate attacks on ships
different flags and spy infiltrations and saboteurs more in our country. We want to build socialism. We have declared ourselves supporters of those who fight for peace. We have declared ourselves part of the non-aligned countries group, despite being Marxist-Leninists, because the non-aligned like us, fight against imperialism. We want peace. The new resolve of the American continent. It is embodied and summarized in the cry that our masses proclaim daily as an undeniable expression of their decision to fight, paralyzing the armed hand of the invader, a proclamation that has the understanding and support of all the peoples of the world, especially from the socialist bloc led by the Soviet Union. That proclamation is
or homeland.
or a death.